Welcome to Heal the World Show podcast, brought to you by the Healing Institute. The Healing Institute is an online, worldwide hub of holistic practitioners, and we are here to make a difference on health and healing in the world. All of our practitioners get to the root cause of what's going on with you, whether you have whatever issue you might have. So we don't just look at symptoms. We really find out what's happening and what the issue might be and how we can get to the root cause and find out how that healing, the healing that you need, whatever modality it is that you need. Now, I've been using holistic ways of being well for well over 30 years, and so I know that it works. And that's what all of our holistic practitioners do. They are definitely looking at the holistic ways to be well and stay well because we're all on a health journey. So let's make it a proactive one, not a reactive one. So why is this so important to me? Well, the Healing Institute, I called it an institute because I'm very passionate about educating people about how to be well and how to stay well. And we did have a tragedy in our family a number of years ago where my mom passed away at age 61, and it was due to complications that she had been on a medication for a very long time. And so I don't want that happening for other families. Unfortunately, she died right before Christmas. It was December 15th, and I was 5 months pregnant with my son. And so
Mhm.
I say it's not only a tragedy that she passed at such a young age, but my children never got to meet their grandmother. And I really don't want that happening for other families because I know how important grandparents are to children. So that's the reason that I'm very passionate about healing and health and education. And we have this podcast every Friday. Actually, today is our 110th episode. I've been doing this for just a little over 2 years. And every week I invite a healer or someone in the health industry to come and talk and share their area of expertise, talk about their experiences. And today I'm just really delighted to have Alexi Bracy with us. Alexi is a cancer victor. I like that. I like that terminology. Resilience mentor and happiness advocate. And today we're going to talk about cancer as a wake-up call for our theme for October, which is Optimistic October. So welcome, Alexi. It's wonderful to have you back on the podcast.
Well, I'm delighted that I've got the privilege to come back. Absolutely. Thank you.
So tell us a little bit more about your story and why cancer as a wake-up call is so important to you.
Well, I was diagnosed or given the diagnosis more than 25 years ago with a phone call.
Oh
And
no.
as I hung up the phone, I knew in my mind then that I was going to beat it. I had no idea because I was really green in the field of health and nutrition and diet, but I knew I was going to do it somehow. And so I embarked on a journey. I had some friends that really helped me, and I was a traditional chef at the time, so I switched from a traditional chef to a plant-based chef. Well, actually, at the time, a raw food chef, because
Mhm.
back then the raw food movement had just hit the
It
shores of
it
the West
was just
Coast.
coming into its own. Yeah, for
And
sure.
so, I really embraced the raw food. And I did some research and found out about the toxic toiletries and cleaning products
Mhm.
and that kind of thing. And then also I I did some emotional work, some healing work, thanks to Marianne Williamson's Return to Love.
Yes.
And so a year later, I was cancer free. And so I continued to study and research, and I still do to this day anything about natural health or healing.
Mhm.
And I helped many people along the way. And then an unfortunate accident ended my chef career. And so it really impacted my pocketbook. And I moved 6 times in 1 year, which then I learned about resilience.
Mhm.
So, I really feel resilience is key in today's society because people are going through so much loss or grief or trauma. And so I really think resilience is something that will really enable anybody diagnosed with cancer to really
Absolutely.
catapult and achieve the victory that they're looking for.
Well, that is just a remarkable story. And And so just so that our audience is clear, so you didn't do any chemotherapy.
Nothing. I never went back to see. Oh, actually, I went back to the doctor just to get a second opinion for the
Hmm.
biopsy because I had had a biopsy taken. I had uterine cancer, and I was a lab technologist in another life, so I knew how to read,
Right.
or was uh, more educated than the general public on how to read
Hmm.
results or pathology results, just to some degree. And I was not prepared to do anything invasive, like just it wasn't in my thought, and so I never saw the doctor again.
Well, I just love your story. And, part of what you were just mentioning earlier was also mindset. Like you decided that you were going to beat this. So you didn't let it beat you by any stretch of the imagination. So you had decided, you already were doing your research around what foods you could eat, how to cleanse the toxins out of your body, and in your environment. And I know that's really very important. Was on was researching toxins, just the different products that we use in the house for cleaning and for laundry and all of. And I was just this was probably 10 years ago now that I switched around, so I wasn't using any toxicity and not wanting to bring any additional toxins in the house and have them in our laundry and in our clothes. And really I was shocked. I was really surprised at how much of just going to the regular grocery store and buying off the shelf cleaning supplies, or the ones that are always being advertised as being the ones that you have to have, and had grown up with most of them. So
Mhm.
really changed the whole way that we had, from that point of view in our environment to make sure that we could be as healthy as possible. And also, um, not that we had to change our diet too much because both my husband and I eat very healthy, but just to be aware. And that is also, I think, what's so important. Awareness, being aware of what is available and being aware of the fact that there are alternate ways. You don't need to go down the path that mainstream medicine says we should be doing.
Very true. It's there's always sort of a little bit alternative that you don't have to go like 100%. You can use things that are safer.
Hmm.
Eliminate those from your home because our homes are so toxic. People have absolutely no idea. And to compound the problem today are mycotoxins. People have no, or microplastics rather. People have
Yes.
no idea how many microplastics we have circulating in the air, what we breathe, what we eat, what we touch. And they say we consume the average of one credit card of plastic every week.
Oh my gosh.
So it just adds to the problem. So bottom line is just educate yourself and learn about the toxins in your home, your cleaning products, what you eat. The information is all out there from reliable sources.
And the other thing that I have learned through people that I've met, is how important our livers are to eliminate the toxins that are in our bodies. And so we have to keep our livers healthy and happy, and do a liver detox, and just be very aware that if our livers aren't functioning properly, that could be an issue for our health.
And your microbiome too, your gut,
Yes, the
heart.
microbiome,
I
for sure.
mean, we need to do a detox cleanse at least twice a year. You
Hmm.
know, if you use a shopping cart, if you use an ATM machine, if you have pets, if you garden, you have parasites. Nobody
Hmm.
wants to think of that, but we all carry parasites, and they are a big contributor to cancer. So we all need to go on one or two cleanses per year, but not the 3 or 4 week one because the larvae cycle is 6 weeks. So it has to be at least 6 weeks, preferably 2 or 3 months.
Yes, that's great advice. Thank you for that. So you're also a happiness advocate. So tell us a little bit about that. I mean, being a resilience mentor is amazing. And as you said, you found out that, when you weren't able to be a chef anymore, you had to find alternate ways of employment. And so, I think when we have adversity in our lives, that really, although it's not a happy thing to be going through at the time, it does then generate, or if we need to generate resilience. So tell us a little bit about the happiness advocate.
Well, I found out I used to freelance as a chef for several summers at remote fishing lodges. The more remote, the better, because I like to get away from the city lights and the coffee shops and the noise and the pollution. And so worked one summer or I worked at one fishing lodge for 4 summers. And so I would go and talk, and 95% of the fishermen were repeats that are now bringing their grandsons. They have
Oh,
been
how
coming for
cool is
so long.
that? Yeah.
And so I would go and talk to them during their dinner time. Well, I'm certainly not going to talk to them about fishing. So I started telling jokes. And so then the next year they'd see me and they go, "Oh, Alexi, have you got any jokes?" So I started accumulating jokes. And so I found that one of my key values was to bring joy. And
Mhm.
obviously, jokes was the way to do it. So when I took the Happy for No Reason training program, the jokes, the happiness, the kindness, the gratitude all fall into place. So I teach people. Well, first of all, I approach strangers at the dog park, grocery store, ATM machine, and I share a joke. Why? Because everybody's going through some kind of loss, grief, or trauma. So laughter has been shown to promote longevity, it lowers cortisol, and it raises serotonin and dopamine, the feel-good hormones in your brain. And so I teach people now little random acts of kindness or bringing joy to people. So like when you're walking down the street, make eye contact with the person and smile. Just to
Yeah.
lay your hand on somebody's arm, just ever so gently. Taking the senior lady's dog for a walk, taking a carless person grocery shopping, buying the barista cup of coffee. It can bring joy to people's lives through all sorts of things. I have 2 dogs and they get a lot of attention. And so people are petting my dogs and they say, "Oh, your dogs are so beautiful." And I'll say, "Oh, it runs in the family." So they laugh. Or while they're petting my dogs, I'll go, "If I get on all fours, when you pet me too?" Nobody's taking me up on it, but I promise you, I would certainly do it. So there's all sorts of little things you can do to bring joy into people's lives. Like I said, a kind act, a smile,
Mhm.
even hug.
Yeah.
I have no problem depending on who I meet. I'll say, "Can I be forward?" And they'll say, "Yes." And I'll say, "Can I just give you a hug?" So it works both ways.
Yeah.
If somebody holds the door open for me if I'm going into a store, and most times it's somebody younger, and I'll say, "Is your mother still alive?" And inevitably, most times they say yes, and I'll say, "Well, tell her she's done a good job." So they smile, and their mother will
Yeah.
be happy too. So, we're in a society where we're always blaming and complaining about this, that,
Mhm.
and the other. Just be grateful. You're complaining about, the price of gas. Be grateful you got the money to pay for it. You're
Yeah.
complaining
That you
about the
have a
cost of
vehicle
food.
that you have to put that gas in. Yeah.
That's right. If you're complaining about the cost of food, be grateful you've got the money to pay for it. So, look on the bright side of things instead of complaining.
I love that. Yeah.
A 4-year-old little girl goes with her grandfather for Sunday afternoon drives for ice cream and cookies. And one Sunday afternoon, he's sick in bed. So he asks Grandma to take the little girl. So off the two of them go, come back in a couple hours. She goes running up to Grandpa's room, who's still sick in bed. And Grandpa says, "How was that?" And she says, "We didn't see any horses, asses, sons of bitches, or tree huggers. It was really boring. All Grandma did was wave and smile." Even though it's cute, it's not because she's already been taught to look at
Yeah.
the negative things.
Yeah.
So really pay attention to, what thoughts do you think of when you first get out of bed? "Oh, I forgot to get the coffee. Oh, I have to go to the dentist. Oh, I have to take the car in."
Mhm.
Just, what can you be grateful for today? That I can breathe, that I can see, that I have a bed, that I have food, and make a commitment to put a smile on at least 2 or 3 people's faces every single day, because you'll reap the benefits as well as the person.
Absolutely. I love that. And, when we think about gratitude, it doesn't have to be a huge,
No,
long list. As you say, it's just be grateful that you're able to get out of bed in the morning. Be grateful that you've got that coffee that you can put it, whether you forgot to put it in the coffee machine and it's not ready for you yet, but at least, you can be grateful that you have it.
And,
And
and then joy is, on a higher frequency level,
it
closer to
is
happiness.
definitely.
And so you want to stay in that high frequency vibration, because at the low frequency, that's when you're inviting disease or
Mhm.
cancer. Angry people stay in that bottom range. So you really want to vibrate at a higher vibration to ward off disease, and just to radiate that sunshine, that joy, whatever you're really good at.
So when you approach someone and you want to tell them a joke, how do you go about that?
I'll just say, can I share a joke?
Mhm.
And most times people are caught off guard
Yeah.
because, people don't go around sharing jokes.
Who is this woman who wants to share a joke with me?
It's always very well received. A bunch
Mhm.
of, bunch of construction workers working on a site, and they're standing around for their break. I'll approach them, the barista at the coffee shop,
Yeah.
lady at the grocery store. I'm leaving a store, and two people are getting into their vehicle, and I'll knock on the window. And of course, they do a double take, like, what does she want? And I'll say, can I share a joke? And so then they drive away smiling.
Yes. Yeah, I love it. So yeah, just by saying that, can I share a joke? Um, I'm sure you don't get very many people that say no, I
But
don't
no, I've
wanna.
never had anybody say no.
Oh, I love that. Yes, beautiful. So, so basically we're thinking and talking about what some of the things to do that we can, first of all, stay healthy, be healthy. And then if we do get a diagnosis like you did, my recommendation always is, or my suggestion always is that people do as much research as they possibly can
Hmm.
about what it is that they've got that diagnosis. And as
Right.
you did, you got a second opinion. And that is so very important. And for us to have a positive mindset about the fact that that we're going to beat it, whatever that might be. I've had friends who got the cancer diagnosis, and that was it. That was going to happen. They weren't going to live any longer, and it was true. It happened. And I've had other friends who's like, no, I'm going to make this. I'm going to beat it. I'm going to do all the things I need to do in order to be healthy, and they are, and they're still living. So I think, that is so very important as well to how we look at life in general.
Like the saying goes, if you think you can, you're right. If you think you can't, you're also right.
Yes, very true. Yeah, that's a good one for sure. Any other tips that you might have for us that we
Well, besides doing your research, you can take preventative action to ward off disease. It doesn't have
Mhm.
to be cancer specific. You know, um, you know, it's the healthy choices that you make. So every breath you take, every mouthful you inhale, every smell you smell is either contributing or taking away from your health. So definitely, number one, purify your water, because
Mhm.
it's toxic. Take EMF protection. Don't have your cell
Yeah.
phone, computer in the bedroom at night. Eat organic as much as possible. Um, get rid of the toxic toiletries and cleaning products in your home. Sweat. Get a far infrared sauna, because that will sweat off the toxins. Do lymphatic drainage. You can do it with a massage, all over your
Mhm.
body. Meditate, definitely, to get that mindset in the positive state. Look yourself in the mirror every day, giving yourself a self hug and saying, I am happy, whole, and complete. I am a magnet for abundance, blessings, joy, and miracles. Look in the mirror, eye contact, and really believe it. And
Yeah.
really say it several times throughout the day.
Those are great suggestions. Another one that I have is I call it a gem. So in the morning if I can do it before I get out of bed, I try to, or I have a yoga meditation I do every morning. So I'll be laying on my yoga mat. So, so the G stands for gratitude. So three things that I'm grateful for. The E stands for excitement. So three things I'm excited about. And the M stands for manifesting. So three things I want to manifest that I'm manifesting in my life. So anybody can borrow that practice. So it's called
Right.
GEMS,
Yeah.
GEM. And just think about what you're grateful for, what you are excited about, because that also raises the happiness and serotonin in your body. And then what you want to manifest, what that's the mind part of the mindset, what we want to
Right.
have in our life, all the good stuff that we want to have in our life.
Yeah, we
So
spend so much time ruminating about the past or spending so much time in the future, but focus on the
in the
present.
present, yeah.
It is a gift. That's why we call it the
The
present.
present. Yes, yes, absolutely. And it's true, because there is so much going on in the world, and a lot of it is very negative, and we can get sucked into that negative vibration. So for us to actually be consciously aware that that can happen, and then change ourselves, our thinking, have our positive mindset. And if you find yourself, oh my gosh, what's going on? Then you just can say, okay, well, that's that, and I can't do anything about it. So, what can I look at today that is more positive and has a better vibration? And
Right.
joy, as you mentioned, that's a very high vibration. Joy, gratitude is also a very, very high vibration.
Yeah.
So those are the things that we want to have in our life, because as you mentioned, then we're not attracting the dis-ease in our life. And we can definitely stay healthy. Well, this has been delightful to have another conversation with you. We'll have to have you back again. And
Yes.
I'm thinking of, there's a number of women that I love talking to, and maybe we'll just do a panel. So we'll have a little panel. I'll have to think through how we're gonna do that. So our vision, of course, here at the Healing Institute is creating a community of health expertise and practitioners. And as I mentioned earlier, they do customize their treatments for you personally. It's not a one size fits all. Our motto is also service with love. And we do have a big ask. So please for people that are listening, watching, please let your community know, your family, your colleagues, let them know about the Healing Institute and that we are here with amazing practitioners and how we can help you on your health journey. And again, you got to meet another wonderful one today, Alexi Bracy. Thanks so much, Alexi, for being on the podcast today.
Well, it's been totally my pleasure to share.
Thank you.